Hi, my name is Bob Logan. I'm the Rotary Club president from 2019-2020.
2019 and 2020, there's a lot going on in those years. What was going on in our club during your first year as president?
Well, before I get to the club, I think we should talk about what was going on in our society.
Absolutely.
It was a crazy, crazy time. And for those of you that might be watching this many years after 2019, you know, we had the end of the Trump administration. We are in the election year, and we're not going to talk about politics now, but it was very divisive in political world. And then in the second half of my year was the pandemic. And that started to be a discussion in December and January, not exactly knowing how big a deal it was. And a lot of people were questioning early on how big a deal it was. And we weren't sure how it was going to affect our meetings, but they were starting to limit the size of gatherings. And originally it was 50, and then it went down to 10. And so we had to pivot. It was an amazing thing. So January and February, we were still meeting, but very soon thereafter, we were shut down. We could not meet in person anymore. And it was a quantum leap change for our membership. And literally in about I'd say a 7 to 10 day period, we had to figure out what the heck we were going to do. And luckily, we're fortunate that we have a member, Rick Rose, in our club who owns a film studio, Film Creations. And we were going to discuss doing Zoom meetings, and we had lots of different ideas. And Rick kind of convinced us, why don't we come into the studio and film our meetings just like we would have a regular meeting, but they would be segments in basically a video that we would then post on YouTube. And that's a second story, to be honest with you, because we had to create a YouTube channel. You know, we never had done that before. So I kind of put this in the context of, and I've told this story many times, 2020 was the 40-year anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, us beating the Russians in hockey. And Herb Brooks, the coach of the hockey team, before they went on the ice to take on the Russians, his famous quote is, "Great moments are born from great opportunity." And as bad as this pandemic was that we experienced, it did create an opportunity for change. And I think our social media presence, our digital presence was very nominal at the beginning of the year. But when we were forced to change, suddenly we became very good, very fast. And I think it's going to be part of our club, not only during the pandemic, but going forward for a long, long time.
That was quite a challenge. But when you started your presidency in 2019, you had some goals.
I did.
You had some ambitious goals. Tell us about those.
Well, I had some big goals. In fact, we started big at the very beginning because, you know, we started with the gavel. I wanted a big gavel to make big change. And while it was kind of funny that Dorina, our executive director, found this in the office, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is my gavel. This is what we're going to use every meeting." And it was, you know, meant to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek, of course, but it did want to deliver a message to the club that we can't be afraid of change. And we didn't make big change to the organization, but I had 4 very, very basic goals. We have all the typical Rotary goals that we have to submit to Rotary International, but I had 4 goals. Number 1, to have fun. Number 2, to be inspired. Number 3, make an impact. And number 4, connect to Rotary in a much bigger way than we have before. And I think one of the things I wanted to do to not change, but improve on was really ramp up our programs. And I asked Mark Irvin, who is now currently our president-elect in our centennial year coming up, and I asked him if he would help me do the programs. And we sat down, and we have a lot of friends in this community, and he came up with a great way to look at programs. We want to bring in a program that makes Tucson special. I thought, well, that's a pretty easy criteria because you can imagine many groups and organizations reach out to us to come speak at our club. And there are some times I really enjoyed.